Let me start by clarifying exactly what we're farming. We're getting herbs and mines. So this is either to sell them all on the auction house or to maybe mill the herbs on a scribe to pump out glyphs and Darkmoon cards, or even prospect the ores on your JC to pump out, well, gems and stuff. You're instantly thinking Druid with flight form, easy. The same way as if I said remember any card that I show you now, but obviously not the bottom card, just remember any one, I'll look away. You probably thought of the Jack of Spades. If you did, put it in the, in the comments, help the algorithm, just drop a comment saying, yes, that was what I saw. There's so many ways to farm herbs and mines that depending on which route you want to go will depend on what class you want to create as your farming character. So if you wanted to stealth farm in dungeons, yes, druids can stealth farm, but rogues just do it better. I wouldn't even say there's a competition between the two. If it's a dedicated character to do one of these farms that we've spoke about on the channel, like getting Cobalt in UK, or getting Saronite in Halls of Stone, for example, then rogue is the way to go. But what about the tried and trusted old school standard method of mounting up and flying around? Well, there's more to think about than just having epic flight form. Yes, flight form is instant cast, but with a mount time reduced by half, so it's only 1.5 seconds now to mount up, the gap closes quite a lot. In flight form, you can go down to the floor next to a herb and pick it without coming out of flight form, but you can't do that with a mine. So you need to come out of form if you want to get a mine. Now, on a PvP server particularly, the first months of launch, people aren't just going to fly by and let you get that mine or herb. They'll stun you or CC you in some way, shape or form and try and ninja the mine right in front of you. It feels bad, but it's gonna happen. Also, another thing we need to think about is if this is on your main account, or do you have a second account? Having a second account on with a farmer is not only popular, but it makes a lot of sense. When you're trying to find a group for a dungeon, or you're crafting on your main, or you're on a flight path, you can alt-tab or switch over to another monitor and do a bit of flying around and grab whatever you want, or not even move. And what I mean by that is you might just sit between a few spawning nodes that every now and again you just look around at your other monitor, or you alt-tab and check. If they're there, you get them. If you don't, you just leave your character sat there. It was something I used to do a lot of actually in vanilla, sat in Winter Spring, in the place with all the big elites. You could just leave yourself stealth there, and every time you saw some mines, grab them all, wait for the next spawns. So with all that being said, and knowing the general criteria of how we're thinking about this video, who is in the running for the best farming class? A druid, obviously, this goes without saying. A paladin might not be so obvious, but we will get into why shortly. A rogue for the ability to stealth farm dungeons, but also has potential outside of dungeons, which again we'll get into soon. And finally, the DK. You can obviously make any class work, and there'll be small advantages to some of them, such as having a mage as your farmer, so you can frost over any mobs around a mine, grab it, invis, mount up and go. Or a hunter, which could do similar with a trap and then feign death and mount up and go. But I'm quite happy with what the four classes mentioned bring to the table, so let's talk about the DK first. The DK gets a talent on a POW horse, which for 2 points increases mounted speed by 20%, and paired with the fact it only takes a short 1.5 second to mount up, this all in all comes very close to that of a druid. In fact, in a race over a distance, you will make that 1.5 second delay up fairly quickly, and you would definitely overtake the druid. Whilst technically you could be on a slow mount and get every herb and mine before other people because you just happen to be flying over it before it spawns, that can absolutely be true. However, the faster you're flying, the more ground you can cover, which opens up more opportunities for grabbing bigger amounts of herbs and mines. If there was a few mines or herbs in a cave, you also have unholy presence to run around faster on foot, which can be seen as a positive. But for me personally, I never bother going in caves. I just leave them. When it comes to PvP servers, yes, DKs are strong, but they do lack a single target long CC, or any way to drop combat and mount up in a reliable way. Absolutely can still be done though if you chose to go Night Elf DK as a farming character, because you could death grip someone away from the mine, use Hungering Cold, grab the mine, and then Shadow Meld and mount up. Some of you guys might be really nice, and if the opposing faction's there first, you just let them take the mine or herb. Would they do the same for you? I doubt it. So next up, let's briefly talk about the Druid, because we've covered some of it already. If you're Alliance, you have Shadow Meld because you have no choice. This is absolutely amazing for dropping a Cyclone or a Roots on someone, getting what you need, pop it and go. But it's also useful just in general on the mobs themselves, because you can mine something, for example, as mobs are running in at you, get the mine, but now you're still in combat. So you either need to kill them to go in flight form, or you use Shadow Meld and bang, off you go. There's tons of advantages to having a Druid for farming, because when you really consider it, it's a jack of all trades. You can stealth farm, but not as easily as a rogue. You have instant flight form, but no increase to its speed, so it's going to average a little bit less in terms of area coverage compared to the DK or the Paladin, but you can also pick up herbs in flight form, which is just absolutely amazing. Now, if your primary reason for the farmer is herbing, I'd say go Druid 100%. You can pretty much ignore all PvP, grab herbs that even have mobs around them because you can pick it up before you get hit, or if you happen to grab any mobs, you can just fly up and reset and try again. Mining, on the other hand, is a different story because you're at the same disadvantage as everyone else. You need to leave bird form. You do, however, have, like previously mentioned, powerful long CCs to be able to use on players or mobs to grab herbs and mines with no fuss and get out. And if you're a druid that happens to have Ashes of Allah or any other 310% speed mount, your flight form will actually go the same speed. And if it's on a second account, you can always have the luxury of leaving it stealthed in a cave or somewhere you know where there's multiple node spawns. As I say, I've done this myself. It works really well. The rogue's fairly basic, so I won't spend too much time on it, but it can do what the druid can in terms of being on a second account and just leaving it stealth by mines and herbs. It really is all about utilizing the ability to stealth. So chilling in mines that most people flying around won't bother even going inside of, like me, running through dungeons and getting a couple of mines every minute or so, and of course with things like sap and vanish, if you see a mob or a player, just sap, mine or herb, vanish, and away you go. Unfortunately, the rogue doesn't get any benefit outside of this though, because with no flight form or increased mount speed from talents, you just need to farm on it the right way. Finally, the Paladin. It is fairly obvious why this even makes the list. It's the same reason as the DK. You get increased mount speed in the form of Crusader Aura, so you can nip around at 20% extra speed. You'll never have the luxury of having a threat drop like the DK who goes Night Elf because Paladins can't be Night Elves. But you do have a stun, and depending on spec, you also have a repentance. So you're able to mine or herb with aggro, but unfortunately, no way of dropping it. So you're either fighting it out to the death once you've got your herb or mine, or you're trying to flee, which both I would see as a waste of time while farming. So ideally, as a paladin, you don't want any conflict, and you don't want to be pulling mobs that are near mines or herbs. So with all that said and done, what do I consider the best farming character? Well, for open world as Alliance, I would actually specifically say Night Elf Death Knight. I mean, Night Elf Druid is very, very close as well, but having that increased speed as the DK and a combat drop with Shadow Meld and just a powerful toolkit, whether you're a Druid or a DK, is just a no-brainer. Without worrying about faction specific though, in order from best to worst, I would actually prefer the extra speed while flying over instant flight form. This particularly is for mining, so it would be DK, then Paladin, then Druid, then Rogue. For primarily herbing, it without a dount would be Druid, then DK, then Paladin, then Rogue. And obviously if your focus is instance farming, just go Rogue. No point even considering anything else. You also get that option of cave farming in the open world as previously mentioned. And that's it. I hope this gave you a little bit of something to think about, maybe aided in your decision of what your farming character is going to be. Mine is actually going to be a DK. So I'm practicing what I preach on the fresh servers when they come out. My first character that's going to be level 70, sorry. The first character that's going to be 70 is my Paladin. Second is going to be my Farmer, which is going to be a DK. So, as I say, not just mindless dribble, although some of you will think it is, but whatever. Check out Rested XP in the comment below, wherever it is. Like, subscribe, and roll the outro. There's lots of ways you can support the channel to keep me here putting out World of Warcraft content and covering all future MMOs. Consider joining the channel as a member. You get access to emotes. Everyone will know you're a member when you comment on future videos because you get a nice icon next to your name. And you get access to members-only videos, which I'll be putting a lot of on the channel throughout the year. Additionally, there's a Patreon link in the description as well. Thank you for watching all the way to the end, and I'll see you on the next one.